Later on in school, I came into Spanish classes, and even in my life I was surrounded by many Spanish-speaking friends. The Spanish classes were worse than English. In college years, if learning a language like English or Spanish that's used around you is not enough, in college I actually began to study some ancient Greek. If a modern language, a used language, isn't bad enough, going into an ancient language is 10 times worse. It's not even used anywhere. And the amount of memorization and the amount of work and effort that goes into all of those classes, whether it's English, Spanish, Greek in my case, I think that the abilities that were required in those classes and the abilities we find necessary in a natural language acquisition class are completely different abilities. So what abilities does a student need in order to develop natural language, whether it's Thai or English or what have you? The first ability for the student is very simple, and the amazing thing about these abilities is we all have them. The first ability will be to look. If we analyze what is it that the baby does in acquiring their native language, it's very simple. They look at everything. They're looking around and looking and just soaking in everything they see. All right? It's a very simple ability. You have that ability, there's hope for you to gain a second language naturally. The second thing they do is they listen. It's amazing to me that we expect good pronunciation without listening to the native language speaker, or listening only a little bit. The whole pattern of the language is found in being exposed to experiences where that language is used. If you're not exposed to a language like Chinese, how will you ever be able to speak a language like Chinese? In our understanding, you must have input, looking and listening, building understanding in order to speak well. The third ability is very simple as well, but very important. The student must guess. The ability to guess is something lost on many adults. In our education today, modern education forces us to have the exact correct answer in order to be right. Of course, everyone knows being right is vital if you're going to learn anything. In fact, all modern research is seeming to point to the idea that we take in our brains way too much, and we have to shed out the stuff that turns out to not be right. Take in everything. And if that basis of learning is true, if that is actually how we learn, language is developed by taking in everything, guessing about what's right, and shedding off or forgetting the rest, letting the rest die off. As we make guesses that are closer and closer and closer and closer to the right one, we wind up with what's right and all the other links that go with it in a natural fashion. This is what we see happening in the ALG program. Looking, listening, and guessing doesn't sound like much work. Where does IQ fit in? In fact, we don't think it does. Babies of all IQs, unless they're seriously handicapped, learn to speak their native language. Young children learn to speak a second language naturally, efficiently, fluently. Why can't an adult? Our belief is the adult has gained some things that the child doesn't have. So the fourth ability is the ability to put the adult what word shall we use? The adult abilities to rest. We want to take the adult ability to translate and set it aside. We don't want to use it. We want to take the adult ability to analyze. What does this word mean? How does it connect with everything else consciously? We don't want to make those conscious connections. In the ALG program, we want the student to be the receiver, sort of like going out and standing in the rain, letting the rain wash over you, without worrying about what is this drop and where is it hitting me, and what does it mean when it hits. Just let the water wash over. as we are exposed in an experience upon experience upon experience upon experience, let the experience and all that it has, sight and smell and sound and the sense, the emotion, let all of that just wash over you. In this way, the student guesses, he looks, he listens, he guesses, and in this way he gains everything that can be gained from that experience. As you gain an experience upon experience upon experience, you develop a basis of understanding. Along with that, the culture. Along with that, the language. It's very, very simple. Language is so complicated. If we set out to learn the language in all its bits and pieces, learn a lifetime, you never know everything. In the ALG program, does a student learn everything? No. By fluency, what do we mean? Does it mean he knows every word in the whole vocabulary of a language? Of course not. But when we say fluent, we mean 100% Thai, if it's a Thai language. If we say fluent, we mean 100% Chinese, 100% Japanese, 100% German, 100% English. What does that mean? I was born and raised in the United States of America. I'm 100% fluent in our sense of the word in English. I was born and raised in an English environment, and my pronunciation, my vocabulary use, is it perfect? Is my grammar perfect? No. Do I think about it? No. Only if I get in front of a camera or making a speech to a large group of people do I even begin to think about the mistakes I'm making. When we think about language proficiency, if a person has the ability to speak and be understood, communicate like the native speaker, it's a pretty good goal. How accurately? It depends on the person. But I know that many people in a place like America, many different places, all the different places, all the different people, they express themselves differently. Who's right? What's the standard? When we say 100% fluent, we're not trying to create a standard of fluency that says you have to be able to do this and this and this. What we are saying is that if you can express yourself naturally, natively, like a Thai, or like a Chinese, or like an English person, or like a native Spanish, that's a good goal to have. Most language programs will compare the student with the other student. With ALG, we want to compare you with the native language speaker. What that means is that when you are compared from the start to the finish, the goal is 100%. How close are you to that? If you start out doing what the child does, going through understanding, guessing, looking, listening at all what's going on around you, given that right basis here, can you develop speaking, the right kind of output that says that person is a native speaker in that language? Yes, you can. What about accent? What about pronunciation? What about grammar? What about just the fluency? What about thinking in the language? All of those things we find are much higher with ALG than they were in previous programs that we developed here at AUA, in fact. And so our whole comparison, even in Thai programs and Thai methods of teaching Thai that we used initially in other methods, structured methods where we practiced and practiced and practiced, what we do with ALG in Thai, in Japanese, in English, in Chinese, goes far beyond what we were able to accomplish before. Having said that, and understanding the job of the student is much different now, what does the student do? What does the class look like? Basically, we want to create interaction between the student and the teacher. What's a teacher? A teacher is a Thai person, or an English person, or a Spanish person, a native speaker in the target language. So you're here to learn Chinese. We provide a Chinese environment. Subject matter ranges anywhere from holidays to bad experiences to great experiences to anything in between. Sometimes it's activities done together. We want to replicate life and in enough experiences so that you develop understanding.